You've heard the words blockchain, crypto, but what do they really mean? Are we just talking about another tech buzzword or a quiet revolution that could reshape how we trust, trade, and connect online? This isn't just finance. It's a new foundation for the digital world. Hey, welcome to Educating Crypto, the Crypto Channel, your home for crypto news, market analysis, and educational explainers. Today, we're breaking down the core idea behind the blockchain revolution, what it is, how it works, and why it might just redefine trust in the internet age. Let's dive in. You've heard the words, right? Blockchain, crypto, they're thrown around everywhere. But what do they actually mean, beyond all the hype and the crazy headlines? Well, at its core, we're talking about a completely new way to record and verify information. And it's a technology that can fundamentally change how we trust each other online. So let's dive in and pull it apart piece by piece. All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll get into the big idea behind this whole digital ledger revolution. Then we'll dig into the nuts and bolts of how a blockchain actually works. From there, we'll explore crypto itself, coins and tokens, before we weigh the incredible promise against some very real-world perils. So, first up, the digital ledger revolution. See, before we can even talk about prices and trading, we've got to understand the engine that makes it all run. And what we're really talking about here is a totally new kind of database. To really get your head around it, just start with this question. Imagine you could build a system where two people who have never met could exchange something valuable, safely and securely, but without needing a bank or a government or any big company in the middle to sign off on it. That right there, that's the fundamental problem blockchain was designed to solve. So here's the textbook definition you might run into. Let's not get intimidated by the jargon. Let's just tear it apart. Decentralized, that just means no single person or company is in charge. A digital ledger is, well, it's just a fancy term for a record book. But the most important word here is immutable. That means once something is written in this book, it is permanent. It cannot be secretly changed or deleted, ever. To make that even simpler, here's the best analogy I've ever heard. Just picture a giant Google sheet. The twist is, this spreadsheet isn't saved on one computer at Google, it's copied and shared across thousands of computers all around the world. Anyone can look at it, but because of some really clever tech, nobody can go back and secretly change what's in a cell. That shared, unchangeable spreadsheet, that's basically what a blockchain is. Okay, so we know what it is, in theory. Now let's move on and figure out how it actually works. How do you link these blocks of trust together? The whole system starts with a block, and you can literally think of it as a block, a digital container. It's a file that's filled with data. Usually, it's just a list of the most recent transactions. So, you have the blocks. How do you make the chain? Well, this is the really clever part. They're linked together in order, one after the other, using something called cryptography. Every new block gets stamped with a unique digital fingerprint. It's called a hash, of the block that came right before it. This creates a kind of digital wax seal. If anyone tried to go back and alter an old block, that seal would break. The hash would change, and the entire chain after it would be invalidated. The whole network would instantly see the fraud and reject it. Okay, let's walk through what a transaction actually looks like in the wild. Step 1. Alice decides to send some crypto to Bob. She starts the transaction from her digital wallet. Step 2. That transaction gets broadcast, kind of like shouted out, to the entire network. It gets bundled up with a bunch of other recent transactions into a brand new block. Step 3. Now a race begins. Powerful computers all over the world, we call them miners, start competing to solve an incredibly difficult math puzzle related to that block. Step 4. The first miner to find the solution gets to add the new block to the official chain. And for their work, they get rewarded with some freshly created crypto. And finally, step 5. The rest of the network quickly verifies that the solution is correct. The block is officially locked in, and the transaction is confirmed. Bob now has his crypto. And that whole process we just described, that brings us to the most famous use for blockchain, and that is cryptocurrency. You can think of crypto as the very first killer app that was built on top of this new digital foundation. It all kicked off way back in 2009 with Bitcoin. Its mysterious creator, who went by the name Satoshi Nakamoto, pretty simply as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. It was the first time this wild blockchain theory was actually put into practice for the whole world to see. Now here's something that trips a lot of people up. the difference between a coin and a token. Here's the easiest way to think about it. Coins, like Bitcoin or Ether, are the native currency of their own blockchain. They're like the gasoline that makes the network's engine run. Tokens, on the other hand, are built on top of an existing blockchain, like Ethereum. They're more like the different types of cars that can drive on that highway. They can represent just about anything, a piece of digital art, a concert ticket, a vote in a project, and they power this whole world of decentralized apps, or dApps. So we have this powerful new tech. What could it actually do for us, for the world? Let's switch gears and look at the promise and the potential. Is this really a new foundation for trust? Well, the potential upside is pretty huge because it's all automated. You can improve accuracy by taking human error out of the loop. You can slash costs by getting rid of those middlemen we talked about. It enables some incredible transparency too. Imagine tracking food on a supply chain right from the farm to the store. You could scan a code on an apple and know exactly where it came from. The possibilities go on, from more secure voting systems to financial markets that never, ever close. And if you want to know why this really matters to people, look at this number. 1.3 billion. That's billion with a B. According to the World Bank, that's how many adults on this planet don't have a bank account. For them, a decentralized financial system they can access with a cheap smartphone, it's not about getting rich. It could be a life-changing way to just participate in the global economy. But, and it's a big but, it's not all smooth sailing. Not by a long shot. For every incredible promise, there's a serious peril, which leads a lot of critics to ask, is this a solution that's still searching for a problem? So let's get a reality check. Anyone who's glanced at the news knows the prices are just wildly volatile. That mining process we talked about, it uses a truly shocking amount of energy. The networks themselves can get clogged up and slow right down. And yeah, let's be honest, it's got a reputation for its use in illegal stuff, all while governments are scrambling to figure out how on earth to regulate it. One of the biggest technical problems is just pure speed, or what they call scalability. Just look at this. The Bitcoin network is chugging along, processing maybe, on a good day, 10 transactions every second. Now compare that to the Visa network, which can handle up to 65,000 in that same second. It's not even a fair fight. If this is going to be used for buying coffee every day, it has a long, long way to go. Now, what about that link to crime? It's a real issue, no doubt about it, but a little context is important. Data from 2023 shows that illicit activity made up just 0.34% of all crypto transaction volume. So while it's a problem that needs to be addressed, it's a very, very small slice of the overall pie. And we just can't ignore the environmental question. That proof of work mining that secures Bitcoin is an energy beast. To put it into perspective, the Bitcoin network by itself can use more electricity in a single year than the entire nation of Finland. That is a massive, massive problem, and one the industry is trying to solve with newer tech. So where does all this leave us? On one side, you have a technology that has the potential to completely rewire how we handle trust, money, and data. On the other, you have these monumental challenges in speed, energy use, and regulation. Is it the new foundation for our digital lives? Or is it a brilliant, fascinating, but ultimately flawed solution that's still looking for the right problem to solve? The truth is, nobody knows for sure. The jury is still out. And that right there is what makes this space so compelling to watch. Thanks for watching Educating Crypto, the Crypto Channel. If you enjoyed this deep dive, hit subscribe, drop a like, and share it with someone who needs to understand the crypto future. Stay cinematic, stay crypto.